high school and doing music is super hard because they're almost 2 full-time jobs, which is impossible. It's very hard to manage, but you do have to put time aside for those things. And when you come home, maybe do some homework and get it out the way, and then work all night if you really want to. I've been doing music since I was 10 years old, and I do all types of music ranging from hip-hop to EDM. I'm mostly inspired from what I grew up with. I mean, I grew up with 80s music with my dad, like all that house freestyle music, Chicago juke, all that, and even things like Michael Jackson and all that. I mean, I just take all those influences and I try to put them into my music and show it through my person and all that. I just started with a crappy laptop, and my parents have noticed I'm working my way up. You know, they like what I'm doing, and eventually I started getting gigs. I was DJing at weddings and all that, and then I got a concert.
Walking down the same road that I've been walking since I was only 10 years old. Now I got a God flow, 10 shows in a row. You can say it ain't so, and I can tell you I don't know.
When I did those concerts for Bone Thugs-n-Harmony and Twista, it was really my first experience getting out there, and I actually performed for 3 days at the Twista concert. It was a festival, and I performed about 10 minutes each performance, and there was about 500 people. It was a pretty good turnout. I've had a lot of crazy experiences, like just even in my house making songs. I have my friend Jati, he's a rapper as well. We worked all night, and one of the songs that we made that went on his mixtape, we made it in like 20 minutes. So from the production to him recording, all of that, writing, it was like 6 in the morning, so that's pretty fun to do.
These seconds are real, I'm working my hardest like I got a deal. You say you are working, I say you just steal. My music is different, I'm turning the wheel.
I could work all night till 6 in the morning and then go to school. I mean, that's the best way for me to just keep going all the time. I never lose motivation, and sometimes you're gonna have to sacrifice a lot, maybe spending time with your girlfriend or whatever it is, but it's definitely worth it in the end. If you're not feeling a vibe from something, go take a break, because that's the hardest part of making music, is taking a break. And come back to it, and maybe you'll get that vibe, and just stay motivated like that. Don't get too serious sometimes. For anyone starting out with anything from music to video production, anything like that, anything you're into, just keep going. I mean, if you have to make sacrifices, you do. I've noticed that once I made No More Excuses, I really got a lot farther in my career, and with my happiness, me as a person, I mean, I really went farther, and I think you just really need to push yourself sometimes, and you'll get far in life, you'll get where you want to be.
Listen, thinking back on a moment.
Music is a great art form to use to spread love, but most importantly, you know, I think music is a great tool that can influence a lot of people, and if used correctly and used the right way, can really change the state of the world, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I became a musician. I started playing the piano at age 9. My father, who is a Baptist pastor, has a church in Detroit, and I started playing there. I first was singing in the choir, and then I wanted to move up to learn how to play, so I asked my parents for lessons. And eventually, after bugging them so much, they got me lessons at the Art Center Music School in Detroit. When I was in high school is when I started writing songs. I was kind of shy about the stuff at first, and wasn't really that confident, but I started listening a lot, and listening and studying who the people who I was listening to, and trying to figure out who they listened to, and trying to break the genealogy gap between, you know, what I liked and, you know, what came before them. So when I was in high school is when I started leading my own bands and doing some arranging and composition work. That got me a little bit of notoriety around the local area, and gave me the confidence to try to pursue this full-time and as a college student. Growing up in Detroit, I drew a lot of my inspiration from Motown and gospel, of course, because my dad's a minister, so I grew up, with religious music, and then I got into deep Stevie Wonder stuff like Music of My Mind, Talking Book, and those albums really captivated me from the songwriting aspect because of, everything Stevie Wonder writes is telling a story. It's not just virtuoso playing and arranging and producing, but every lyric tells a story of its own, and it's really unique.
Y'all been enjoying yourself so far? That's good to know. Just like that. Next up, we're going to pull back to the oldies once again.
The first big show I played in Chicago was a show called Biggest Mouth that's put on by the college. Last year we were lucky enough to win a spot in the final showcase, which was held at the Metro, which is a really huge music venue here in Chicago. It was a really great experience to be able to walk those halls and be in those dressing rooms of so many, where so many great people passed through, and be able to get up on that stage where I watched a lot of great acts perform myself. It was really exhilarating. It was the first time I was ever on a really huge stage. The crowd was pretty huge, about 500 people, one of the biggest crowds I ever played in front of. And that kind of catapulted my experience of playing on a huge stage. Other than that, I've played the House of Blues, I've played Reggie's Rock Club, and probably the biggest show I've played here in Chicago was at the Chicago Theater. Being at the Chicago Theater was just a high all of its own, and you go downstairs to where the dressing rooms are. On all the walls are just so many hundreds of, maybe even thousands of signatures of just great artists, from Prince, Smokey Robinson. So many musicals, so many, bands and everything. So I got to be a part of that and be on that stage and do 5 shows there in a span of 2 days, and that was probably the most fun experience I've had performing.
Nights I spend crying rivers over you, and in the back of my mind I wonder if you're...
It's really tough, and it can be very discouraging because being young and in such a fast town like Chicago, it can be very intimidating because you meet such great acts, you meet such great performers, such great songwriters, because we all have idols in the industry, like, oh, I want to be like so-and-so, oh, I want to play like so-and-so, but so-and-so's got it all figured out. But in reality, even the greatest artists we look up to, are constantly trying to innovate, constantly trying to find new ways and new things to do. So I would just say to someone starting out, just learn as much as you can, be humble, and just try to be a student of the music. Where you are today is, and can be better than where you were yesterday. So just try to make progression, and don't so much worry about the end game, because there's no plan B. It's just plan A continued.
Tell me what you want from me.
The best way to become successful is just trying to play as many shows as possible, trying to tour as much as possible, trying to meet as many people as you can and talk to people about your music. Dating back to probably middle school, I've always loved to sing growing up, and 8th grade is when I was taught to play the guitar, and I actually performed in this little talent show at my school with this band that me and my friends, it was just like the best feeling in the world, and I feel like I knew what I wanted to do from that moment. Shortly after that, that kind of crashed and burned. There were some problems, a lot of disagreements. One of the members of Dead Split Egos, they had been a band for about 6 years prior, and basically I met one of the members and he taught me to play bass for the band. And then the other band I joined, Monterey, their bass player had an issue and he basically had to part ways with that band. They had seen me play for Dead Split Egos before, and we've played with them before, and they kind of liked what they saw, so they asked me if I wanted to join their band. and I've done a few tours with them. I toured the East Coast with Dead Split Egos in the summer as well. For Monterey, it was kind of crazy because I had just gotten back from the Dead Split Egos tour, and then they basically asked me to do a tour with them like a week after. So I kind of had to learn all their songs in that week and then just do it. But it's been really fun ever since, and it's like two different styles of music because Dead Split Egos is like a hardcore punk band. So it's a lot heavier and less melodic. And then to just kind of change up the pace and do Monterey, which is more of like a post-hardcore type of band, maybe melodic hardcore, some might say. I guess it was like bettering myself as a musician because I was able to adjust to a different type of genre and play something different. When I first was learning to play bass, I was not doing it properly. Instead of using a pick or instead of finger picking the proper way, I would strum with my hands, which is definitely not the right way to play. And I would bleed a lot. During every show, there would be like blood on the floor. There'd be like blood on the drum set. My bass just had blood all over it. It was absolutely disgusting. And my hand was just like covered. So, I don't know, like a lot of people thought it was cool. It was kind of a gimmicky thing, I guess. Somebody asked me to wear a white t-shirt and sell it at the end of our set, but that was crazy. I probably did that for like 5 months, and I have a scar on my finger still. I don't know. I don't know how I did that for that long. Big venues that I've played at the House of Blues. That was actually my second real show. So that was pretty cool to play there because I've seen a lot of bands I really enjoy there. I've also played at the Bottom Lounge in Chicago, and I love that venue. I've seen a lot of my favorite artists there as well. I actually opened up for a pretty big artist called William Control. So just being able to open up for somebody that you listen to, somebody that really inspires you, just to get that opportunity was a really cool thing.
Strong. I am the weakest of weak.
We also played a show last week called Defend Girls Not Pop Punk. It's basically to just raise awareness for defending girls in the local scene and encouraging girls to participate in bands and things like that. That's something really important to me because I've actually talked to a lot of girls that want to be in bands and maybe feel like they can't do it or feel like it's more of like a guy's thing or like a male-dominated field, I guess. And I don't know, that just like makes me really sad because there's so much good talent. I would just never want somebody to not go out there and do it because they felt like they couldn't for a reason like that. It's not anybody's stage specifically based on gender or anything like that. It's for anybody that just wants to get up there. And I don't know, I'm just always pushing that. I feel like I don't see that enough. Because it's not just about music all the time, it's about real lives, real people, real stories, and trying to give back or do something, accomplish something for other people as well.